few years ago, when you first told me that we should cross an ocean in a sailboat, I thought it was crazy. I thought it was more likely that I would walk on the moon one day. And now that we've done it, I know it's crazy.
I would say crossing an ocean is always a highlight for every sailor. And no matter how much you plan and prepare it, it's always about facing the unexpected.
In this episode, we take you on a 1,690 nautical mile journey across the Atlantic Ocean from Mindelo, Sao Vicente, Cape Verde, Africa, to Cabedelo, Brazil, South America. Our original plan was to take the easy milk run route, crossing the Atlantic with the trade winds and heading due west to the Caribbean. But that's not what we did. We left the popular trade wind route and went off the beaten path. This gave us extra challenges of sailing in the doldrums, facing brutal heat and daily thunderstorms. No sailing passage is perfect. We did a lot of things right, but we also learned some valuable lessons along the way.
Yeah, passage planning is always very important, but it becomes more essential the longer the passage. The longer the passage, the more vulnerable you are to weather changes or unexpected events. A weather forecast beyond 5 days is an illusion, and most likely you will not be able to escape approaching weather systems anyway. So good weather routing is the key to long passages. In our case, the main question was where to cross the doldrums. The doldrums, or the ITZZ, which is their official name, are characterized by brutal heat, low winds, and furious thunderstorms. All this doesn't sound too inviting, so you will try to cross them as fast as you can. Now, here's the next challenge: the shape and the prevailing winds on the other side. If you cross them too far east, you risk to be in them very long. If you cross them too far west, you might see strong headwinds on the other side. We decided to head southwest first until we reached 29 degrees west, then head due south, cross the equator at 29 or 30 degrees west, and then continue southwest to Brazil. All this played out very well for us. We had a few days with little wind, but always had enough to keep moving. Also, our navigation equipment worked out really well. We have a Ray Marine system that worked flawless, and we downloaded grip data using our Medium Go, predict wind offshore. From time to time, we took a noon sighting with a sextant to train our celestial navigation skills. All in all, I think the strategy worked out very well, and we would do it the same way again. So, our second noon shot of the sun, and did the math, and we should be at 13 degrees 6 minutes north and 28.00 degrees west. GPS says we are 13 degrees 00 north and 27.75 west. So this is just a difference of 7 miles. Not too bad, is it?
Yeah, it's a little better than yesterday's reading.
Yesterday was 30-something miles.
That's cool.
Pretty cool, yeah, getting there.
Yeah.
Time is a straight line, a linear motion that leaves us behind. The days pass to count everyone, and I'm a sailor fighting the waves as they break on the hull, pushing me back to the shore.
We also learned that we need to make some upgrades to our natural power resources.
Maybe apart from space, there is no place you depend more on yourself than in the middle of an ocean. Self-sufficiency is key when it comes to energy, tools and spares. As far as tools and spares are concerned, we never felt that we were over or under equipped. Energy, however, always was a scarce resource. A wind generator made some contribution, but the performance curve was, let's say, maybe a little optimistic. Also in the trade winds, when you have the wind from behind on the long downwind passage, it doesn't produce a lot of energy either. Also, the solar panels did not meet our expectations. The position turned out to be covered by the shade of the sails most of the time, so we had to operate the motor and our gasoline generator almost every day to charge our batteries. So in Brazil, we will add at least 500 watt to our solar power system to become self-sufficient.
Okay, so it's what, day 4?
Yeah, it's day 4, Monday, February 11th, and it's the first day we have a little bit of wind. A little bit of wind means we have 3 before, straight downwind. We're actually making 4+ knots, which is a lot compared to the 1.5 to 2.5 knots that we made the last couple of days. So I hope we are making some time that we lost in the last couple of days.
Yeah. So what, we've got the mizzen sail up, the wind generator is moving finally. It was not for a while. There was literally no wind. And what else have we got going on with the sails out here?
Yeah, we have a wing-on-wing configuration with the Genoa on the starboard side and the mainsail on the port side. As you can see, we don't have a lot of swell, so we don't have a lot of movement. We don't need boom out the Genoa. We also don't need the cutter sail to help us soften the blows. So there's a good configuration. It's downwind. Our next waypoint is straight downwind. So yeah, that's how we go.
Okay, good. After 4 days of barely moving, going about 1.5 to 2.5 knots, we finally have wind, and we are now flying at a good 5.5, sometimes 6.5 knots, and it's really fun. We're finally making some ground. Day 5. I brought 12 books on board, but I don't think I was properly prepared for just how much downtime we would have. So it's been a pretty pleasant voyage for me. I like the smooth waters. I did have 2 very brief bouts with seasickness, but I refused to take the seasick medicine, and I've been fine. So we've mostly just been relaxing. I am on my 2nd book, almost finished with my 2nd book. So I'm hoping I have enough books on board to keep me entertained while we're out here. But it's nice. I like it. The sun's shining bright today, and the dogs seem to be enjoying it. And it's nice so far. It's taken us a little longer than we thought, but that's okay. I've read every book that I brought on board. So now, the only book left for me to read is the Sailboat Maintenance Manual. So, lesson learned. Next time we have a passage like this, I bring a few more books. All right, Captain Jack. One thing we did right was with our provisioning. We brought along almost 600 liters of water and only used about half of that. Our fresh vegetables lasted about a week, and we managed to have fresh fruit all the way to the end. We just need to learn a few more recipes. Crossing the equator was a huge milestone.
Okay, baby? No!
Hello! did it right. We asked Neptune for safe passage, passed our exam, took our vows, and made our sacrifices. Even the Seadogs participated in the ceremony.
Make your sacrifice. And now say it.
That was really a true sacrifice.
Seadogs. Do you vow to protect your ship, your crew, and your captain on all 7 seas? Then, if yes, eat this treat. If no, throw this treat overboard.
We were christened with equatorial waters and celebrated this rite of passage for all sailors.
We did it! The first ringing of the ship's bell in the southern hemisphere.
The blazing heat became our biggest challenge on this passage. It's hot. It is so hot. We struggle to find any relief from the heat. I just can't tell you what I would give for 1 cube of ice. Just 1 cube of ice. I would be so happy. Whew. But it sure is beautiful. And we're getting close. Y'all keeping cool down there? Yeah. It's been 187 days since we departed from Charleston. We are now across the Atlantic. We see land after 15 straight days at sea. Hello, Brazil. Woohoo! We did it!
There's a freedom from your hips up to your eyes. Patron saint of the season. Yeah, you were built for mid-July. You got the glow of the sunset. You got the rush of the ocean waves. Burning high like...
Sometimes your worst night at sea is the night you spend at anchorage.
When we arrived at the anchorage in Noronha, I didn't like it. In reality, it was much less protected than you might think from the chart. It was completely open to the swell, and the better protected area was all taken by local boats. Also taking into account the drastic wind shift during the frequent thunderstorms, there was only partial protection from the winds too. It took hours until finally the anchor would hold and stop dragging. However, the pounding of the high swells forced us to go anchor watch all night long.
After a brutal night at anchorage, we weighed our options of whether to stay another night or get back to sea where we could feel more safe. But first, we took a little time to enjoy the beautiful weather and scenery of this gorgeous, remote island.
You got the glow of the sunset. You got the rush of the ocean waves. You're burning high like it's wanted. You make it feel like summer again. We got a chance and we'll live it. The only rule is there's no regret. From the start to the end, you make it feel like summer again. Again.
as we wanted to stay another day to explore the island, I explored other anchorages with our dinghy, but when I checked the swell forecast, I decided to leave before nightfall. The swell forecast predicted 2.5 to 3 meters swell for the next night. In the meantime, the anchor was wedged into the rock so well we couldn't break it free. Not manually, not using the electrical windlass, not using the engine. So eventually, I had to take the decision to cut the anchor and leave it behind, which made the already expensive anchorage in Noronha even more expensive.
Tropical squalls can happen at any time on an ocean crossing.
No matter how good the weather forecast and how little the likelihood of storms in your sea area in your season, preparing for an ocean crossing also means preparing for storms. As one of my good sailor friends used to say, at one point Neptune will get you with your pants down. However, here we are talking more about squalls and tropical thunderstorms than major depressions. Because the ITZZ is notorious for low winds and fierce thunderstorms that can last anything from 2 hours to an entire night. They come with rain so much you can't tell where the ocean surface begins, and wind speeds that easily exceed 50 knots. While during the day you can see them coming, get prepared, at night hell breaks loose faster than you can spell your first name. So at nightfall we reduce the sail area, which is a pity at the low winds, or losing some more speed, but necessary to not jeopardize the boat. This turned out to be a good strategy for us.
We just saw land, and we're about to be in Brazil, mainland Brazil. So we have been at sea. This is our 20th day at sea. It's been 19 full round the clock days, but this is the 20th, the actual day at sea. And this is the whole of our trash. We did a really great job with our trash task. So we used these huge 8-liter bottles of water, and we refilled other bottles, the smaller bottles, from this water. And then we stuffed all our trash in there. And so we filled 2 of these. This one's really full. It's really packed just to the brim, but it's amazing how much trash we got in these bottles. And then we did have one big trash bag, and it's got mostly cans and bottles, but also our waste paper from our diaper genie, which also was a lifesaver because all of our waste paper went in there and there was no smell. It was all protected, and we just emptied it out in here. And then this is one small bottle that one small bag that just has mostly crushed up soda and water bottles that we tried to smush as much as we could, and then also all our cans. Any cans and glass and plastic bottles went in those trash, and that's it. That is, 2.5 weeks, almost 3 weeks worth of trash. So I think we did pretty well, but as soon as we get to shore, we'll be happy to get this off the boat.
Well, I sail across 7 seas just to greet you down on my knees.
We're not the first sailors to ever cross an ocean, and we certainly won't be the last. But to me, this experience was truly special, and I feel like we really accomplished something.
After the crossing is before the crossing, so we're working on the next challenge.
Hold on, yeah. Lift your eyes off the ground. You've only